Hi. So, yeah, it's December the 1st of 2015. Um, I guess I'm basically kind of doing this update just to just to get it out there because it's been a while since I've uploaded the video, and guess I'm just putting my business out there. Um, I guess just to get it out there. So, the reason why I haven't really done or kept up with anything is because, back in August, I think it was the third week of August, I had brain surgery, which kind of entailed the removal of a artery called an AV malformation. Basically, it's a bunch of blood vessels kind of entangled together, kind of meshed it together. Mine's is about the size of a golf ball. But, I had no symptoms at all. The reason why they found this all out was that back last October, I had went to go get an MRI. And the reason why I had to go get an MRI is that my blood levels, when you're transgender, you have to take your blood levels and do your whole labs to see, the hormonal balances are, proportionate to your body. So that way you don't overdo it. It could be dangerous if you overdo your hormones. So basically, my prolactin level last October was really skyrocketing, and my doctor kind of was at a stump because she didn't really realize, or she didn't know what was going on, although she kind of suspected that it might be a pituitary gland cancer or tumor. So yeah, I had to go get an MRI last October, which was really, if anybody's gotten an MRI, you're covered in this huge machine that's around you. It's very enclosed, and I'm not claustrophobic or anything, but just the whole experience of it was just it's a lot of shaky, I guess. You hear these thumps and hammer noises, and at the same time you're thinking that you hope that you don't have any tumors or anything. You know that would kind of discourage your health or your whole mental state. So I tried to be strong, and I think I was, but the only thing that I was thinking at the time was just positive thoughts, how I wanted to live, how just all the past good that's happened to me. I guess so. That's kind of what really kept my spirit up in this huge, event in my life where I never thought I would get an MRI. I guess nobody thinks that they're going to get an MRI, but so that happened. Turns out there was no cancer or anything, although they didn't find that AV malformation that I mentioned earlier. So the next step was to go see a neurosurgeon to kind of get his intake on what he thought about my situation. So I think it was earlier this year I went to go see him, and he had given me 3 options. One was to kind of just monitor it over the course of my life, just to make sure that it doesn't rupture, because there is a chance that this AV malformation could rupture. It's a really small percentage, but his whole stance was that, like, if I'm going to gamble like with 1 or 2% per year, that's like over the course of 10 years, it's like, 10% or whatever. But I think that's how he put it. So, and I had the benefit of knowing, because most people who have AV malformations, they don't know that they have it, and the way they find out is that they're, it ruptures and they're hemorrhaging, or they're having seizures, or all this other neural issues. But since I didn't have any issues, I was in a position where I could decide on how to, like, proceed. So, okay, the second option was to do like a radiation kind of therapy, I guess. But he mentioned that that was like a very low success rate. And of course, the third one was surgery, to go in and actually remove the artery. But I really didn't know what to think at the time. But let's see. So I guess so. He kind of thought that I should think about it. But at least he laid out the sort of the options for me to take. Let's see. I'm not very good at this whole cam thing, but I'm trying to like articulate myself so that you will understand kind of what happened. And okay, so the doctor kind of just told me to think about it for a while, but in the meantime that I had to, or recommended that I go and do some cognitive tests, just sort of the simple ones here and there, like, reading comprehensions, and then do MRIs where I do read and I do look at pictures and stuff, so that way they get a whole map of my brain, where, language, or, the certain parts of the brain, even though, like, the whole portion of it works together, but, there are certain areas that are, best for math, or just, creativity, even some that are just like for your senses, where it's like vision or something. But yeah, so I had to go do that. Then following those appointments, I decided that I should just do the surgery. Plus, would benefit my health, I think. Well, at least that's what I thought in the long run. And so in August, they did the surgery. I had checked into the hospital. I think it was like August the 3rd or something. I forget when. But no, it was the 3rd week of August, so August 20th. And then spent the first 4 days in there. I had to go through this thing called embolization, where they sort of put this thing up near your groin into a huge blood vessel that would kind of like go and work its way up to my brain. They would kind of, I guess they would block off the artery, so the blood flow doesn't really go through. It makes the initial, or the actual surgery where they're removing it more, like ease up on it. So I guess the thing, it was like, again, it was huge. So I had to endure like 3-4 days of the embolization, and I will tell you that that is like the worst. It was just, I didn't really feel anything because I had been put to sleep and did the general anesthesia. But hold on, let me take a sip of soup. But afterwards, made me so nauseous. I didn't really feel much pain just because they had me on like morphine and all those other painkillers. But those painkillers really, oh God, it was horrible. I was, I don't know, I was, yeah, maybe a little pain, but just being in the hospital, I couldn't sleep. I had no appetite. I was nauseated just because of the potency of the morphines and painkillers. It was just horrible. And I kept burping. I wanted to like lay on my stomach and get in comfortable positions, but those beds in a hospital are just, I would not wish this on anybody, but I guess they are a necessity, of course. But again, the experience was just excruciating. And finally, the last day I had the surgery was on a Friday. So again, 4 days of embolization, and the third day was actual surgery. And again, under anesthesia, I didn't really feel anything. But post-op, I was out of it again too. I was just drugged out on the painkillers, and I made a little video of it post-op where I tried to describe what it was like in the moment or how I felt. But I don't know. I'm just glad it was over. But in all, I spent about 9 days in the hospital. Luckily, I had good insurance, so that part wasn't really a big deal. Let's see. So post-op, I didn't really get the grasp of my capabilities at the time because I really just wanted to go home. I was crying and I really wanted to go home. But when I say that my capabilities, meaning that I could move my left hand, I could move my left side of my body, but at the time I didn't really know that I couldn't sense this whole left side of my body. I just, like I said, I really wanted to go home. It was not until like I really actually resting and started walking around and that I noticed that I couldn't really sense the left side of my body. Like I would be hitting the doorway as I walk in somewhere, or I think it's happened twice where I did hit my the side of my head as I was entering the passenger side of the vehicle. And I did drive once, which I should not have been driving. And after that, I didn't drive for a while until I knew I could do so, and that's when I started kind of like working my left hand a lot more just to get the feel of it. But yeah, I did that recovery for about 4 months, and I was feeling good by the end of it. So I think it was back in October. I did go to I'd take a little trip, like a vacation, to California. I went to go see my sister who lives in the Bay Area, and it was so fun. But in the whole course of that area, I developed this huge bump on the back of my head, and I didn't really know what it was, but I thought it was just it was going to go away. And it did go away when I was sleeping on the mattress on her living room floor. Kind of just oozed out, and crusty ooziness was all over my hair and soaked the pillow. And I really didn't think nothing of it. I was kind of glad that it deflated, but it was disgusting. So I washed my hair, and following that, I did wash my hair constantly, like every day, just because it was out here and there, but not like as much as the first time. It would just be like small areas, but it was still there, so hence the reason why I did wash my hair. After about 2 or 3 weeks up there, I came back home and went to go see I had a follow-up appointment with the doctor, and I told him about the whole bump area and the secretions coming from my head and how it oozed out. So he kind of looked at it, and he noticed that there is like extra skin growing, and I forgot what he told me that it could happen, but he saw it was sort of infected, and he put me on antibiotics for about a week just to see what would happen. And I was to see him the following week, which I did, and it wasn't really healing as he anticipated, but he kind of like told me that I needed to get admitted to the hospital that day, just so that they can clean up the area and the incision area. So I was kind of shocked because I wasn't really expecting to be in the hospital that week, and I didn't want to be in the hospital, but I ended up going back and did the whole procedures where they cleaned it up. Kind of felt like surgery again. I mean, it was, because I was still in the operating room. But the recovery afterwards was far, like I was okay. Like next 2 days, like I could walk and I could use the toilet on my own. I just really wanted to go home too as well, but I couldn't, just because they needed to figure out which antibiotics would help out after the whole surgery, and how to get that and preventing the whole thing from getting infected like it did before, which is kind of why they put this huge PICC line in my arm. It's kind of like this IV goes down to my heart area. So that's kind of where I kind of like inject myself with this antibiotics, and I do that kind of like twice daily. He said the doctor that did that was she recommended that I do that for about 6 to 8 weeks, which means that I will have this thing in my arm until next year, of course, like January of next year. It's not, well, like, I don't really mind it at all. It's just kind of slightly embarrassing. It's not sexy at all. And kind of limits me of what I can do or how I should go about the day, because I don't want to forget to take the antibiotics, which is really important. But yeah, I've gone on for like 20 minutes now. That's just me, but I guess I could do other videos later. I think next time I want to talk about more intimate stuff, where I will tell you some of the experience I have with partners. Just because, like, I don't think the web is filled with, or it's hardly any people out there that are mostly like trans attracted men don't really come forth and actually tell their story. So I guess I'll kind of talk about that, or at least that's kind of the subject that's coming to mind. Basically, like how there are some guys that I've met who had no clue, and then they found themselves attracted to me. But yeah, I'm going to stop here for